Let's talk about the light-dependent reaction. So the light reaction depends on proteins that are sitting in the thylakoid membrane. These are huge molecular complexes, a huge molecule that spans across the thylakoid membrane, and it contains a lot of these pigment chlorophyll molecules which capture the energy of light. Now, when a pigment captures the energy of light, its electron goes into an excited state. It turns the molecule from a lower energy state to a high energy state. Now, that electron is not going to stay in a high energy state. It's going to go back down, takes the molecule back to its resting state, and that energy is released. It goes back to the next chlorophyll molecule. The next chlorophyll molecule will have an excitement of its electron, and then it goes up and then back again. And all of these hundreds of thousands of chlorophyll molecules in this photosystem go through the same thing. And finally, the chlorophyll that is sitting here in the middle, which we call the reaction center, captures enough energy from all the other molecules that are sitting here such that this electron gains enough energy to actually leave the chlorophyll. It's going to leave the chlorophyll molecule. And then this chlorophyll molecule is remained with no electrons. It missed its electrons. So where is it going to get electrons? Where is it going to replace the electron? Well, that's where the molecule of water comes in. Water is split. It donates electrons into this chlorophyll, which has lost it to this primary electron acceptor. And then it can go back and receive more light and then lose more electrons. So let's take a look at this excitation step a little bit more. So here we have a pigment molecule. It receives energy of light. It goes to an excited state. So here it is, the molecule that is sitting here. Photon of light hits this electron. It goes into an excited state. Now, when this molecule goes back to its resting state, or what's called ground state, this energy is released, and that release of energy is absorbed by the next chlorophyll molecules, and all of these energies that are released, it's going to all converge onto that chlorophyll that is sitting in this reaction center, and that causes it to actually causes the electron in this molecule to actually leave the molecule and go somewhere else. It gets enough energy to be able to leave. You can think of it as a rocket that has enough energy to leave the Earth. And then it's captured by a portion of the photosystem that is called the primary electron acceptor. So, photosystems, again, play a very important role in photosynthesis, and there are two of them, photosystem 2 and photosystem 1. Why am I starting with photosystem 2? Because there is a series of steps that happen during light reaction, and the photosystem that is first in line in those events is called photosystem 2. Now, it doesn't make any sense. Why would scientists call the first photosystem that is acting in the beginning the number 2 photosystem? Well, they're not crazy. The reason it's called photosystem 2 is because this photosystem was the second photosystem that is called photosystem 1 was discovered first. And the first photosystem that comes first in line of the sequence of events was discovered second. That's why it's called photosystem 2. So remember this counterintuitive naming system, because it will catch you when it comes to exam questions. So Both of these photosystems have lots of chlorophyll molecules. Both of them have a reaction center complex, and both of them contain a primary electron acceptor. So let's go and see how they work together to capture the energy of light and then turn that into the energy of ATP and NADPH. So here it is, the membrane of the thylakoid. So this is one thylakoid membrane, and you can see the photosystem 2 that comes first and photosystem 1. So let's look at up here first. Don't pay attention in the bottom, all right? So now, here's photosystem 2. Light hits the chlorophyll molecules, and then as I mentioned, the series of transfers of energy, and then there's chlorophyll molecules that are sitting in the reaction center. These electrons, the electrons of these chlorophyll molecules gain enough energy to actually leave them and go to the electron acceptor up here. Okay, so then remember we said that these electrons that have been lost are replaced by splitting of water, and this is where the oxygen is made. Okay, so then in order to see what happens next, you got to follow what happens to the electrons. So where is the electron going? The electron is going into an electron transport chain. Where have you seen that before? Yes, in cellular respiration. We've got an electron transport chain here as well. And if you remember, in cellular respiration, as the electron moves down the electron transport chain, it fuels pumping of hydrogen ions across a membrane. And in this case, it fuels the pumping of hydrogen ions from the stroma into the thylakoid interior. Okay? All right. So what happens to the electron after it passes the electron transport chain? Now it brings us to photosystem 1, which is the second photosystem that is in line. So again, light happens to chlorophyll, that hits on the chlorophyll, and then the energy transfer goes into the reaction center, and these chlorophyll molecules capture the energy of light, and they again lose their electrons to the reaction center. Okay, so what happens to this electron once it's captured? It's transferred to a couple of other molecules that now give this electron to NADP+, which is an electron acceptor, and make NADPH. Now, how is this electron replaced? Well, it comes from the electron transport chain. That's why this comes in the beginning. Photosystem 2 supplies the electron that photosystem 1 needs to keep going. All right, so if you just follow the movement of electrons down the pathway, you'll see what happens. Okay, so we've made some NADPH. How do we make ATP? Again, similar to cellular respiration, we've got an ATP synthase that takes advantage of the buildup of hydrogen ions in here. It is also a channel, so it's just like the protein pump that you saw for cellular respiration. These hydrogen ions are going to move through this channel, and the energy of these hydrogen ions going down their concentration gradient fuels the formation of ATP. So this is how the light reaction transforms the energy of light into the chemical energy of NADPH and ATP. So let's take a look at the summary reaction for photosynthesis. And the question is, which reactant is used and which product is made during the light reaction? So during the light reaction, CO2, did we see any CO2? No, we didn't. We saw water. So water is used, and what is made? Did we make any glucose during light reaction? No, we made oxygen. So then during the light reaction, water is used and oxygen is made. Now there are a couple of questions in here I look forward to seeing what your answers are.